Alrighty, for the Fabric of the Month Club, we are giving you 4 pieces of mix and match one color laminated cotton, peachy, marigold, ink, and blue jay. And they can be made into these bucket hats, which are kind of a one-size-fits-all deal, except for we have a kid size and an adult size. And the kid size will fit anybody up to, 3, maybe 1, 2, 3, like that size in there. You can always add some elastic around the back. You can customize them. You can put a tie on them. So don't be afraid to just use the patterns. We've simplified these patterns. When you go online to look for patterns of bucket hats, you get a lot that have 15, 20 patterns, 20 sizes in the pattern. And I think that's excessive because a bucket hat is not really a form-fitting garment. And so we have simplified it for you. There's a kid size and adult size. There's only 3 pattern pieces. And they're super cool because you can make them reversible. For our bucket hats, we're using uncoated ink dog fabric. So this side is not coated. This side is coated. So you can wear them, you know, with the rainy side out or the sunny side out. Either way, I kind of like to have the cotton on the inside so that my head is, I don't get too sweaty. But then the other option is you can mix and match and put, this one is my favorite. And Sarah made this one. She used orange thread there. It's really cute. It's got orange thread on it just because why not? Okay, so that's an adorable hat. It fits a lot of people. If you wanted to kind of size them, I say the first time you make them, just make them to the sizes that I have. But if you want to have, if you want to shrink them or expand them, all you have to do is sew a wider seam allowance. So I wanted to show you why we cut these out on the fold, and the fold is all lined up here. I folded this over, and this is the direction of the selvage. This is straight of grain. And you want the fold to line up with this because the weft of fabric has a little bit of stretch of woven fabric. It has some stretch going sideways. And this is going around your head, and so that makes it a garment. And you want a little bit of stretch and a little give, and especially as you watch how we're going to put these together, it helps you put the circle on top. But fabric going vertically, if you stretch it this way, it ain't got nothing. So like this way, no stretch. This way, stretch. That's just my demo. So we don't say this about bags because bags are not something that you wear, so they don't really care if they have stretch one way or the other. And also, just a side note, if you want to make something on the bias, if you cut something out but diagonally 45 degrees, then you get a lot of stretch. So that's your basic fabric warp and weft lesson. Have fun. Typically, you're going to be starting with a half a yard of fabric. In that half yard, we can get both of the side and the brim of the kid bucket hats. And then this is the top. And then we can get, that's the adult, and this is the brim and the sides of the adult bucket hats. So we got an adult and a kid out of 1/2 yard of fabric. And you know what? I think we could almost get a second adult one out of here. If you wanted to make that many, you certainly could. So this right here is going to be, this is the top top of the hat. So I'm going to take and pull it out into quarters and then pin right there and right there. And then this is the top of the hat that we're folding to find those corners. And if you finger fold off our fabric, you can kind of see a little crease. Eventually this crease will relax out. But I mark those four corners of a circle, and then you're going to attach that onto the top of the hat. Now, you want to make sure right sides are together, and the side seam is one of the quadrants. So we're putting a pin there. And I put the pins really narrowly at the top so that by the time we stitch, they'll be enclosed. The pinholes will be inside the hat. And the seam will be proud of that. So now we have it pinned on in 4 places. And I like to add another set of pins because it's fussy once you get it on the machine to keep it all so the edge is straight and you're wrangling this curved shape into this more straight shape. And we're going to do that using the slight stretch that woven fabric has when it's cut the way we cut it. Because it'll have a little bit of give, and then we can make the top circle ease in instead, because you don't want puckers or gathers at the top of your hat. And this is how to line it up so you have the biggest chance of success. And this is actually the hardest part of the whole hat, is getting this top to be smooth. So I'm taking some time to show it to you. So I'm kind of stretching the bottom piece out and fitting the top piece in, and it'll look like a little ruffle on top. I'll show you at the end when I get this all made. So I have a narrow seam allowance. I'm using the edge of my zipper foot, my presser foot. See, it's not a big distance. We've made the pins, so you just go pin to pin and take them out before. You can use clips, but I find the clips don't hold really well. So you want something that's really gonna hold for this step. And there I am, zooming along, almost done. Alrighty then. So little threads can stick out a little bit because it's all going to be enclosed in the hat. So there it is. And we're going to kind of finger press that seam allowance down. And then we're going to do a top stitch around the top of the hat. So I'm going I put it back on so that the right side is down on the machine. We're inside the hat, sewing the top stitching. And I do it from the inside because I'm pulling out the seam as I go. And it seems like it's an easier way to make sure that we're catching all of the seam allowance in that line of top stitching. And you just want to make it even, especially if you're using black thread, because you want it to look good. There we go. Now we have the start of a hat. So I like to do one side at a time, and then I do all of the steps, and then I do the second side. You see the blue side I've already done. So now we're putting the brim on, and I'm just making it so that the seam allowance goes one side on one way on one side and one way on the other side, because that'll be less bulky. And it really doesn't matter which way they go, and you can iron them open if that's what you love to do. But I love to make it as effortless as possible. And this is how I do it. This one is much easier because, you know, they're basically both straight, even though they're kind of curved. And so I just am putting a clip in the middle of that seam, and then we're going to sew around this next circle. And then we'll have 2 hats made, and we'll put them together. Okay, here again, I'm sewing basically on the inside of the hat. And this one, it'll just fit really easily. And I just kind of massage it as I go. I don't like to use a lot of clips or pins. I use as few as I can possibly get away with. Sometimes I don't use any. But with these little fussy curves, you kind of need them. Tack, back tack. And now I'm doing the top stitching again from the inside of the hat. Same as before, this time the seam allowance is going up. And that will make sense when you see it done. And I pull, like with my left hand, I'm slightly pulling it out so that that seam opens out from the outside and looks good. There, I kind of went off grid a little bit on my seam allowance, you can see, but it mostly worked, so I'm going to go with it. Now, I'm putting the 2 hats together. I put one reversed inside of the other one. So this top one is inside out, right sides together or pretty sides touching. And so I'm marking right now a 3-inch gap. And that's where we're going to turn the hat inside out, right? So we have to leave a gap in our sewing, and then we're going to just sew all the way around the bottom of the hat and turn it inside out and top stitch. And that's it. Then we'll be done. So a couple clips is all I need. And one of them is just to mark where I'm starting and stopping my gap. And this time, I'm going to make the seam just a little bit wider because when we flip the fabric in at that gap, you want it to have a little more fabric to work with there. So you make sure you catch it all. It'll make sense in a sec. Okay, now I'm turning it inside out. The whole thing has to jump through that hole. There it is, jumping. Okay, you really have to shove it through that hole. Okay, now it's inside out or right sides out. And now you go around and kind of make sure that seam is fully exposed. You don't want it, you want this to look like it's professional because we're all pros here. And so this is what I mean. Oh, that clip is really big. But you want to make sure that there's a fold over that you can get in your top stitching. So, like that, you got to make sure that there's going to be enough on the inside of the hat for the seam allowance to not come dangling out later. I'm going to catch it all in the top stitching, if that makes sense. I'm going to make sure that these are folded so that you catch that inner seam. And just go around that edge. And that, my friends, is how you make these adorable bucket hats. This one is a kid one, and I put different print on the top. And now you have all the skills you need to make your own. Happy sewing.